On today's episode of Beyond Profits, we have the remarkable CEO of Legend Internet PLC, Aisha Abdulaziz. Aisha is a woman of many firsts. In 2025, she made history by becoming the first woman to take a Nigerian tech firm public and the first to lead an internet service provider onto the Nigerian exchange. But her story didn't start in the boardroom. She studied biological sciences at the University of Warwick, moved into programming, then strategy, before stepping into leadership. Today, she sits at the helm of one of Nigeria's most ambitious digital infrastructure companies, Legend Internet, a firm transforming how Nigerians connect, work, and thrive. Under her leadership, Legend has grown from a local FTTH provider to a full-fledged digital ecosystem, offering fintech, email, smart home tools, and a promise to bridge the digital divide. In this conversation, we explore her journey. We talk about bold leadership, the pressure of being first, what it takes to list a company on the NGX, and what she believes the future of Nigerian tech truly looks like. This episode is about vision, purpose, and legacy, the kind built not just with profit in mind, but with the impact at heart. Stay with us.
Hi, you're listening to Beyond Profits, a podcast by 117 Capital, where we explore the principles, ethics, and impact behind truly sustainable business. In a world driven by profit margins, we are shifting the conversation, diving into value-based leadership, non-interest finance, and the evolving role of ethical investing. Rooted in the spirit of Islamic finance, Beyond Profits is where ethics meets finance, where purpose meets performance, and where values drive ventures. Each episode, we engage with leading voices across various industries, discussing how non-interest finance principles and frameworks are reshaping sustainable business growth, empowering communities, and redefining wealth. Whether you are an entrepreneur, investor, or a future leader, this space is for you. Because at 117 Capital, we believe that profits is just the beginning. The true measure of success lies in what we build beyond profits.
Welcome to Beyond Profits, Aisha.
Thank you for having me, Imran.
How are you doing today?
Excellent.
Very good. We're going to dive straight in.
All right.
So, we would like to know, right, before Legend, what was Aisha?
Yeah.
Because today when we mention Aisha Abdulaziz, it's all about legend. So we want you to take us back.
Okay. Where was I before Legend? I would say I'm from a very humble background, right? I started off like everyone else. Grew up in Lagos, moved to Abuja about 11 years ago. And ever since I joined the telecoms industry maybe like 10 years ago, which is actually quite a huge time to be in the industry. And I've been navigating since then. And then eventually you can see I've found my way into Legend. And Legend's vision and its mission, it resonates with who I am as a person. So for me, that's one of the things that have made me stay and continue to work in the environment.
So we're still going to dive in more.
No problem.
When you started career, when you started your life,
Yes.
has this always been what you wanted to do? Or were there like switches in between?
100% know what I set out to do. I think when I got into the sciences in my early life, even in schooling, I studied biological science. And when I came out of university, the first job I had actually was in social media. I started doing digital marketing. So completely different from what I studied and what I'm even doing now as is. So I got into marketing a little bit, then moved into technology. But for me, technology has always been, I think it's always been present in my life. I find it very easy to deal with technology. So I almost like an affinity with it. So even in university, when I was studying science, I studied a little bit of programming. Before I also went to university, I did AppTech. So I studied programming there properly at university as well. I did some programming, even with my biological studies. And when I left, any new type of app you give me, I'm able to navigate very easily. which I found out later in life that apparently not everybody can do that. I just thought it was a natural. I thought it was natural. But eventually I found out that, I have an affinity for it. And eventually, you see, that's now led me into where I am.
So what prepared you for this kind of leadership? Are there specific mentors you met? Are there specific experiences that made you feel like, yes, Aisha, I am prepared to lead?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. But I think the different stages in my life, I would say I had different people that I look up to at every given time. But I think the one constant in my entire life, I would say, is my mother. At one point, she was a single mom. And she took care of everything in the house. So I always looked up to, so I always had that, that constant role model in my life that was showing me this is the way to do things, not to sit back, always driving yourself forward. But at every single stage also, because even when I was at high school, the secondary, university, different people. People saw maybe some leadership skills in me, and I didn't shy away from taking those opportunities. So even if it was at a small level, maybe that's organizing an event, I put myself in there. If there was, student council, I put myself in there. So it's at those different stages. So even when I started my first job, I went in there, like I said, as just social media, one of the social media team people. By the time I left after
How many years ago was that?
That was almost 12 years ago or 13.
Okay.
I was in Lagos. By the time I left, I was heading the distribution, the distribution department for that organization. So for me, it's always not to just start and stop there. It's eventually going through all those levels. And you learn different things. Like if you go through life now, where you are 5 years ago is going to be different from where you are now.
Sure.
Right? So for me, I think leadership and mentorship is evolving. At every given time in your career and your stage, you need to know who you are and what you're looking for. Right? And people that also give you sound advice. Right now, I do have mentors. I have many people that I actually can go to now. And
you have mentees as well?
Very. You have to, when you get to a certain level too, you have to also repay back what you've been, been given in your life as well.
Okay, so that's a journey. Yeah, great. So let's dive into Legend. You joined Legend when? And what did you inherit at Legend? Were there any things you had to reshape? And where are we now?
So, Legend is very young.
Without going into the IPO part of it.
No problem. Legend is very young. We're just just getting to 4 years now. And I started Legend with, from the get-go. Yeah. So even when we're customizing everything and like everything in life, no journey is smooth. And we had to navigate through a lot of, what's it called, issues. But I think at the moment we have conquered a lot of things. When you move into a new an industry, right, there's a lot of learning to be done. And fortunately for us, with myself, I've been in the industry for like 10 years. So I already understood a lot of the nitty-gritty even before, Legend. Right? So we had all of that. So there was learning that I had, and also learning with people that I work with as well. So navigating through all of that. And each environment is also very different. Mobile segment is different from FTTH segment. When you're trying to navigate, if you're a mobile person and you move into FTTH, you see that are two different animals. Right? One, there's a lot of physical, civil works, labor involved. So the way you would do that when you're dealing with mobile and network is it's different. But everything is a learning process. And for me, I would say you never stop learning. You never. Even today, I'm learning something new about the industry I've been in for 10 years. Because things are also evolving. Technology that you were using 5 years ago is different from technology that you have today. You have to keep your eyes open, you have to keep your ears open, you have to just, be on the ground, be listening, and be changing. Because if you don't change, you'll be left behind.
And true. The world is moving very, very fast. And if one is not moving at that pace, then they get left behind.
Correct.
And
we can see Legend is moving at that pace. You said you're just 4 years old. From what I've seen, there's stuff like Legend Pay and a couple of other things within,
Yes.
right? So run us through that growth process. When you started, what was Legend? Today, what is Legend?
Okay. All right. So Legend at its core has always been about making lives better, right? So we've always believed in a better way to live. So everything that we do, whether it's a product or a service that we're providing, at our core is how does this make life better for the next person, right? So Legend Pay started off as a convenient way for our customers to just, have a way to renew their subscription without having to physically come into the office from the comfort of their home. They would pay and their services come back up, and it evolved from there to saying what else would the customer want. Maybe he wants to order from a certain restaurant, he can do it through the Legend Pay app. He wants to make payment for his airtime, AEDC, he can just do it all from one location without having to,
So you're building a full payment ecosystem.
So it evolved from there, and it was within our customer ecosystem and our ecosystem. So we also had Wi-Fi location hotspots, right? Like we call them, the hotspot locations might be restaurants, might be malls, might be. So you just have partnerships with them and tell them, you know what, come join onto this. You get access to our customers at the back end, and customers get access to discounts that we also give from those merchant locations. So every single product. So even now, we have Legend Mail, which is like
Legend
mail,
Meal.
email, like an email.
Okay, Legend Mail.
Yes, Legend Mail. Right. What Legend Mail does is it's actually the first indigenous emailing platform, like commercialized emailing platform. We have Gmail, we have Yahoo, and we have all these other ones. And then you have obviously work emails and corporate emails, but you don't really have an email that you would say this is a Nigerian email. So Legend Mail is actually the first one that has come in to say that. And what we're using that is it now becomes like a unique ID into also the Legend ecosystem. Apart from it just being also a normal emailing platform, it gives you access to our ecosystem. You get access to Legend Pay, Legend Wi-Fi, your fiber, and there's Mail Pay that's also coming out very soon. I think next week we're launching Mail Pay, which is
Mail Pay.
Yes, it's paying through email. You can send money through email. Yes. And Legend Mail also has like security and authentication into it. So you have your KYC embedded into it, so we know who you are. And by the time you add fiber, we know where your house is, right? So this is identity. So it's evolving. We're always looking at, or at any given time, how do I make life easy for Nigerians? Yes.
You're building, something really great, and let's go forward now to the big talk,
Okay.
the IPO, right? This has stood out for me because there was this report by PwC that in the Nigerian tech space, only 9 companies are tech-related companies are listed on the NGX, and when it even comes to infrastructure, broadband, and all of that, there is practically not any, right? So most of the tech companies on the NGX are fintech, softwares, and so seems like you're the first of your kind that is going into this market, or going into the NGX rather.
Yes.
So what drove your decision to go public, especially in this market? Like, why? People say there's access to private funding, VC, private equity, it's private capital basically. So what drove that decision to go public?
Okay, so what drove our decision to go public is all about our strategy, right? If you look at our finance and corporate strategy, we have a vision. We want to connect 1 million homes in Nigeria. But connecting 1 million homes in Nigeria means that you're going to spend a lot of capital. And who has capital? Capital markets, right? So for us, it was almost like a natural progression. So we took our time. We're very intentional in what we do. So we look at best practices, how best can we accomplish what we want to achieve, and we looked at standard organizations and what they do, and this is what they do. So going into the public market was a next step for us, because if you need to get access to what you need to grow, the capital market can give you that.
So that was practically why you want to go big. That's the summary of
We
what
want
you
to
just
make
said.
change,
Okay.
right? And to make the kind of change that we want, we will need the backing that the capital market can provide.
Great, understood. The capital market is always it's a dream of a lot of companies. So even companies who are doing well, they have access to finance. They'll still say very soon they're hoping that they go public, and you're there. So
Yes.
it's a good stride. What was the toughest part?
Toughest part of going public. So, when you get ready and you say you want a list, you get a checklist to say, go through this checklist. First, there's a pre-checklist that say, confirm you have all of this before you begin, and you go through. And the toughest part is really, so once you've committed and you are ready, right? I think your mindset is the first thing that you need to shape up, because at any given time, you can actually just say, I give up.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of things being required of you to go through, and there's a lot of scrutiny. Like, the regulators do not let anything slide. They do not. If you do not dot an I or cross your T, they'll send you back that document, right? So you have to go through everything meticulous. And I think that throughout the process also, you are not left alone. You also have your advisors. So creating that team that's going to help you through it is very, very crucial. You have to pick the team that also in line with your vision. They see your vision. They can help you through it. They have those access. And even on the regulatory side, the NGX, they were very helpful. They're not trying to discourage people to actually not go to the market. They're actually encouraging you to go to the market. But at the same time, they must make sure that you're not just going into the market with any K-leg, right? Everything must be proper. And so,
because now you're dealing with the public.
huh?
So now you're dealing with the public. So
Yes. So, but the good thing about the company is that we've always aligned ourselves to best practices even before we were public. So for us, going through that process was, it opened up our eyes to things that we could make better, and we have implemented those things. And then, yeah. So, but it was very tough. It was not.
how long did it take?
It took us just a little bit over 6 months, which a lot of people actually said was very short.
Yes.
But we're very meticulous about it. So I think that helped. And like I said, the right team and right partnership really helps to move things along. And prior to this also, we had a lot of our documentation. We were compliant in a lot of things. So when it was just getting your documentation in order, getting what you don't have ready, and then you're ready for the public market.
What would you say to the founders who are also hoping to go public?
Do not give up. It's not an easy process, but the benefits it's unmatched, because once you go through it, it's almost freeing, because you're not everything's out in the public, right? So there's no, as long as you want to do that, that is your strategy and your focus, then there's nothing to lose and there's nothing to hide. So you just need to
somewhat keeps you more accountable, yeah?
Yeah, it does. And accountability is a very good thing. And I don't know why people shy away from it. It makes you better.
Sure.
It does. So so if you want to go public, you just have to open up your mind that you're going to go public and get it done.
So now it's how many months public?
So now we went public in April. So about 4 months.
About 3 months.
Yes.
The cameras, it was everywhere. Legend goes public. It was on the news. It was on social media, LinkedIn, everywhere. But now the cameras are down. Let's talk about the internal changes. Post IPO life, what has changed and what hasn't?
Okay, so actually listed by introduction. We haven't done an IPO yet. It's something we're going to do further down the line. But definitely there's a lot of changes. Well, first, it's an increase in cost. Automatically, you're going to get an increase in your cost, because now you're going to get regulatory. You also have higher scrutiny from regulation, and also what's it called? What's that? Sorry. Compliance. That's what I'm looking for. So there's higher level of compliance, there's higher regulation, and obviously increase in costs all through. because there's a cost for keeping the public informed, and that's a regulatory requirement. You must keep the company in the news, in a sense.
How has this resonated to the different cadres of the organization? So how has anything changed for the day-to-day person?
So I would say yes. And the reason why I say yes is a lot of the times when you engage your team, sometimes they don't understand the impact of what you are trying to tell them. But I think, like you said, when we listed, it was everywhere. And they felt it because people were like, oh, you work here now, right? So when before nobody cared where you worked, now everybody's asking you, oh, you work at Legend. Also, so for them also, it changes even the attitude towards work, right? So you are seeing a better output. Everybody's now saying, okay, fine, eyes are on you now. And there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
True. And what has remained constant? So you've told us what changed.
Yes.
What has remained constant?
What has remained constant? I would say the way we work. So before we went public, and a lot of things we were doing in the last couple of years was trying to get the structure right, trying to get the policies, the operations to run the way that, there's a lot of moving parts. And for me, I would say that what has remained constant to Legend would be change. Because we're always changing. Not changing, but like always improving. Right? So that has been a constant for us.
And that basically describes why there's a very, very rapid growth. Because one is always open to change. It's the world. There's always something new that just comes up.
Yes.
And so keeping up that pace is very needed. What would you say is the vision? No, I wouldn't call it. What are you betting on for the next 5 years in terms of, your industry, your company and your industry in general?
So, let's say that I'm betting on AI and its use cases. And what I mean by AI and its use cases is that AI has come in and it can augment and help us with the issues that we have. Right? So as a company, as a country, there's a lot of, gaps that we have, and the use cases for AI, it's very interesting. For us at Legend, we're even integrating AI into our customer service. There's an app we have called My Legend. So now we're building an AI assistant into it. So it can tell you everything you want about your Legend connection. And if you don't have to speak to somebody, right? And what that does to you is that it leaves you room for your team to actually do what they're better able to do than being cooped up doing repetitive work when the system can take care of that for you. So it actually makes people better in a sense. So there's a lot of use cases, and I'm actually very interested to see where AI takes us in the future.
Still within the capital markets, are you looking towards, probably any ethical instruments, probably raising funds through like sukuks and all of that? Because there is, after the federal government sukuk that happened earlier on, I feel like this is the sukuk that really raised a lot of awareness to the general public. And then Taj Sukuk is running right now.
Yes.
And people are actually looking, once it's the Sukuk, they're just looking forward to it. It's the federal government or corporate. And so would we see a Legend Sukuk anytime soon?
Yes, we might be seeing a Legend Sukuk. We've already started engagements on it. And funny, like you said, when we started the engagement, we now started seeing all these other Sukuks coming. And the good thing about the Sukuk is that everybody can play in it. And it's a fair playing ground. And people are really interested. It's from what I heard, it's oversubscribed too. So people are actually looking for the sukuk to do it. So it's definitely something that Legend is looking into.
Great. We're looking forward to that as well. And every other ethical investor. So let's shift a little bit from the business to the builder. Let's see the human side of this journey. So first, I'll say, what has been your biggest challenge personally, and how did you navigate through it?
That's a tough question. Okay, so the biggest challenge, personally, I would say maybe sometimes believing in yourself, right? It's such a when you say it, it's like, why won't you believe in yourself? But there's so many things that make you doubt what you're doing, who you are, whether you can do it or not. But again, having the right team and the right mentors help you guide. They can tell you this is where you're making a mistake, and you're taking that feedback and using it to learn and grow. I think that's also how I overcame those challenges. Because like I said, an ordinary person, there's no reason why nobody can do what you set your mind to do. So you have to first and foremost believe in yourself, even when you doubt yourself.
And
So
if you fail,
failure, I don't. People should not be afraid of failing. I think you learn more when you fail than when you succeed. When you succeed, you don't actually learn a lot. You just think it, oh, I've done this right, I can do this. But if you fail, you kind of scrutinize yourself more, and you do the analysis and say, why did I fail? How can I make it better? And how do I overturn this? So you learn from failure. And there's nobody, I don't think anybody in this life that's successful that will tell you he has never failed. If
true,
you've never failed, then you don't take risks.
true. As a leader, what's something you had to unlearn when you got into leadership positions? What's something that seemed so great to you that you had to unlearn?
Interesting. What did I have to unlearn? Let me think about that for a second, because there's a lot of things that I had to almost like learn again or relearn in a sense. So, for example, I always knew how I wanted things to be done, right? Some people are just scrutinized. So there's some things I'm like, if I'm not the one if I don't do it myself, it's not going to get done. I had that kind of mentality when I was a lot younger. But growing up and being in leadership, you cannot do everything by yourself. You cannot. Even if you think your way is the best way, you have to unlearn that. You have to be able to trust your team to do what they need to do and get it running. Because that's the only way you're going to learn, you're going to scale, you're going to lead. So that for me, I think that was a big challenge. Because I like to get into the nitty-gritty of things. I like to get my hands really dirty and get stuff
That's a
done.
big challenge for almost every leader.
So but as you learn, as you grow, you have to learn doing that. You have to trust your team more. You have to be able to give feedback instead of just taking over the whole thing. I would say that was the biggest challenge, or the biggest thing I had to learn not to do.
And now have you mastered it?
No. I will not say I have mastered it 100%. I think I am much better at it, and I'm still learning. Nobody can tell you they're perfect. If anybody tells you that you've stopped learning, just walk away from that person.
True.
Walk away from that person. So for me, learning is always something. My team teaches me new stuff every day. People I interact with, I get new information from them every day. So using that also makes you a better person.
So what's
Better leader.
success to you
What is success to me?
beyond revenue and market share?
So change. When I say change, change in, even if it's one person saying that their life was made different by what we do or how we are, for me that's very rewarding than just the bottom line, as you would call it, right? So seeing people succeed, being more confident, learning and taking that ownership, it's a reward on its own.
So the impact on other people's lives.
100%. But you don't actually know the level of impact you have. So wherever you are, you're just trying to make whoever it is you're working with, whether you're working with a person for a day or 3 years, whatever, you just want to make sure that when they leave you or when they are not with you, or they're just a better person.
True. What does your journey stand for?
A better way to live.
A better way to live. Everybody, hop on the train then, right? A journey stands for a better way to live. That's what Legend stands for. And hop on the train if you want to live better. Do we say it that way?
Yes, we can say that way.
Okay, I know everybody thought we were done. We're not. So what would you say to founders listening, to this right now? The ones who are grinding quietly, the ones who are pushing loudly. What would you say to founders who are looking to, to grow, to navigate their companies quickly, to be able to implement changes that would also help them scale? What's your advice to founders and CEOs in general?
My advice would be to find the courage to be who you are. Don't give up. There will be so many things fighting for you to give up, but I think once you're resilient and you believe in yourself, there's nothing that you can't do. There's nothing that you can't do.
So courage and resilience.
Yes,
There's nothing that and learning.
100%. You don't ever stop learning. And it's a constant everywhere. I think everywhere, everybody tells you that don't ever stop learning, and the constant.
Very well. So Aisha, thank you very much for coming on Beyond Profits. We could go on and on and on because there are a lot of things that, within and outside Legend that we believe we can learn from you. We would want to tap into. We would love to have you again. But just before you go, to get it clearly, anybody can, at this stage of going public, does it mean that anybody can actually go and buy Legend shares?
Yes, so there's shares available in the market. So you just need to engage your stockbroker and you'll be able to buy Legend shares.
Okay. So
And you can become a Legend shareholder.
So we call upon all the viewers, join the movement, and if you are looking for guidance on, get in the right direction, if you're a 117 follower, you can reach out to us. We'll put you on track on how to go about it. We're on the journey for change. We're all pushing for greatness. So thank you once again, Aisha, for joining us, and keep thinking beyond profits till we meet next time.
Right. Thank you, man. It was a lovely session.
It was.